Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm already ready already.
How do you want to seat it?
Can I move these?
Really? Okay.
Well, it's been quite a year. Nation-state attacks, criminal actors more aggressive than ever, ransomware. Who would have thought we'd be so good at the pandemic by now? It's been a year of learning, and we've really come a long way as an industry, and we have a lot that we have to share with you today.
During the course of that year, we've listened to a lot of customers, a lot of partners, and spoken with the industry. We continue to have a worldview around zero trust and how thinking about posture and preparedness can really help an organization to be ready when these kinds of things happen, and how that pervades an entire tool set around SIM plus XDR. But it's a world of increasing challenges as we face more people working from more places with a richer environment and more IoT devices. All of this results in really more opportunity for attackers and challenges that we really need security teams and customers to think about on how we can all stay safer together. And today we're here to talk about what we've learned over the past year, how that's informed some of the innovation that we've done, and really how we want to help customers think about the next step in their own journeys on staying secure. And we've brought some guests, and with that, I'll allow them to introduce themselves. Ping?
Sure. Thank you. My name's Ping Look, and I work on strategic initiatives within the Office of CTO at Microsoft M365.
Hi, I'm Bernard Brantley. It's great to be back at Microsoft. I am CISO at Corelight, an open NDR company based on open source Zeek. We provide some of the world's best network evidence.
Remind me again who you are.
I'm Eric Durr. I lead the product team for our cloud security products, helping people keep their infrastructure safe. And you?
Rob Lefferts. I help run the M365 security products. These days, a lot of things that are called Defender. I'm glad to be here today. Speaking of lots of things called Defender, we do have some news that we're excited to share with you.
As people know, we've been working with our Azure Defender product to make it increasingly a multi-cloud offering. And we've definitely gotten questions from customers about, wait, Azure Defender helps me with AWS and GCP. And so we're happy to say that we'll now be changing the name of the product. It'll be Microsoft Defender for Cloud, really helping you with all your cloud infrastructure.
And along with that, Microsoft Cloud App Security is now becoming Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. It's a little bit of a change, but it really highlights this notion that it's part of the overall Defender and Microsoft 365 Defender family.
And just because we didn't want anyone to be left out, Azure Sentinel is going to become Microsoft Sentinel. So just cleaning things up a little bit, but most of what we want to focus on today is really some of the capabilities and things that we're bringing to market.
Great to have us here for this conversation. If it's okay, Bernard, I'd like to hand over to you to kick us off.
Well, I really appreciate being here. What are some of the more novel attacks that you all have seen this year? And more importantly, what could have been done to prevent those?
It's a good question. You know, I think it really depends on your point of view, what's novel, what's not novel. Even things like the Nobelium attacks late last year and early this year, in some ways you could say parts of that were very novel. Some of the techniques to implant in SolarWinds were definitely interesting. But on the other hand, there was an awful lot of just very good execution at techniques that have been well understood for a long time. The vast majority of people getting victimized, it was something pretty basic, probably, that was involved in the attack, whether that was not using MFA or having a port open or something that wasn't patched. I mean, the basics hurt us a lot more than these really novel techniques.
And so it just comes down to this notion of really focusing on some of the basics around hygiene. Like, let's talk about multi-factor auth. Let's talk about how we make sure patching is up to date. And how we make sure that all the endpoints are configured correctly. And it's so easy to say, but it is so hard to do because of the complexity that everybody's dealing with.
I do think, though, right, there's a lot of noise and there's an over-complexity in the landscape. So, for instance, all the number of players in terms of AV solutions, endpoint solutions, cloud protection solutions, it's really hard for customers to simplify, learn it all, deploy it all correctly, configure it all correctly, keep things patched. So maybe we're asking the customers to do too much with too many things. That is not creating a simple enough environment. So, as a former leader of the incident response team at Microsoft, I want to know what we're doing for prevention for our customers.
It's a place where I like technology, and so it's a place where tools can help.
Yes.
It is this real struggle on making sure the tools are feeding you the data to help discover applications, to help discover devices and endpoints, and build a richer picture for the security team around what does my environment actually look like. And we've been pushing a lot this year to make sure that we can help with that. The first and most dramatic chunk of work is around app governance as part of Defender for Cloud Apps. And what this really enables is the ability to monitor, detect, and set policy around how cloud applications get access to your O365, M365 data, and really watch for the interaction and behavior patterns that we saw in some of the dramatic and newsworthy attacks of the past year. The second is we keep pushing forward on Defender for Cloud Apps. We've added 10,000 new applications in the last 6 months, and now as part of our cross-plat promises, we're bringing that to macOS. So for them, as they pick up new apps and start to bring that into the enterprise environment, you can detect them and help enforce the same policies.
Well, I wonder if you all have thought about how to flip these tools from the end user, or that human, being a part of the problem to the average user or end user being the tip of the spear or a part of the solution, and what that means for your overall prevention strategy.
I love this topic. Do you want to dive in? All right. So I think the way that you teed that up is exactly right. And we have to flip from a world of saying, oh, we're going to add more and more controls. And if only we could control the humans and block them from doing bad things or enough bad things, then we wouldn't get attacked anymore. The problem is these humans are doing jobs. They're actually executing on the mission of the organization. It's important that they do their stuff, and they are creative. If the controls keep them from getting their jobs done, they will flow around them, and you'll end up being less secure. And so as you're designing that system, you actually absolutely have to think about how is the human part of it. How do I actually offer them something that not only makes them more secure, but helps them with their job?
So is the goal to make things simpler across the board for enterprises?
We're very focused on make it easier, make it simpler, make it more automated. I think too often in the industry we think you got to choose. Is it easier? Is it secure? And like we had this big moment a few weeks ago where we announced the availability of working without a password. And what a cool milestone.
Yeah, so I think about a case that we had, right? Government Nunavut, they had a big ransomware attack, and they have gone passwordless, right? They've adopted YubiKey, a dongle that helps manage your passwords, but it made it much easier for those users to protect. And so the next step that Microsoft's taken in terms of the passwordless journey will help many more people, right? Because there's an investment that you have to make in these, physical hardware devices like YubiKeys. So if Microsoft makes that easier for the end users and less expensive overall, then there'll be greater adoption and the world will be safer.
As defenders, I mean, it's evident that we've got to go across operating systems, we've got to go across hardware types, there's multiple different languages and application types, but as enterprises are moving towards cloud infrastructures, how do you help to cover things beyond the Microsoft cloud?
We're definitely all in on multi-cloud. We started the journey by bringing server protection and SQL protection, and then a little later Kubernetes across Amazon, AWS, and GCP. And we're really excited to announce at Ignite that we're bringing 150 recommendations to AWS, making it much simpler, easier to onboard, and really kind of thinking about how do you create one console that lets you just manage all your infrastructure, regardless of whether it's on-prem, in Azure, AWS, or GCP. You want to have the best recommendations customized for your environment that help you know how to set it up and configure it in a safe way. You also want the detections for evolving threats. And as those threats evolve, well, you want the configuration guidance to change too. And so we really kind of think of this as one integrated offering. And that's what Defender for Cloud is all about, is helping people take that control and keep their infrastructure safe.
The point at which I really felt like we connected most with our customers and got the most recognition was that moment when we showed them we cared about everything in their environment. It wasn't just the stuff that Microsoft was making, it was everything that they're running, whether it's all the clouds that they build on top of, or all of the platforms that they're running for their devices inside their environment and their employees are using. And so actually just this notion of taking Defender for Endpoint into Mac and iOS, Android, and Linux has been an amazing journey over the last 3 years. In fact, we're very pleased this Ignite to be able to talk about bringing threat and vulnerability management to Android and iOS devices. And for me, that's one of the most gratifying things is actually that connection. Oh, we're actually helping somebody.
And sometimes people feel a tension between, well, I might want the best tool, but I also want stuff that works well together. And we're definitely focused on kind of trying to build a solution that doesn't have compromise, where you really say, look, you can have the best of breed tools and they can work together.
This is actually something we should think about more often. Microsoft Security as a whole suite, protecting over 600,000 customers. And in 2020, we went and counted up over 30 billion email threats protected, over 31 billion authentications, over 7 billion threats on endpoints. And those are just mind-boggling numbers. And we've gotten a lot of recognition from the industry, which is great to see. In fact, I think we did a count. We're now leaders in 12 analyses from Gartner and Forrester, leading analysts. And the thing that I love about that is that it is just an honest reflection of the protection value that customers see. So we were talking about the past year and all the difficulties we saw there. One of the things we've noticed is more and more lateral movement. In fact, as the wave of attacks keeps increasing, sometimes it feels it's easier for these sophisticated attackers to really get this lateral movement going inside of organizations. Eric, what are we doing about that?
I mean, we definitely hear from people that they're using a lot of vendors. Sometimes those products don't work very well together. It's hard to correlate the activity. And I'm really excited about the seamless integration we've been doing between our XDR and our SIEM. The work we did last year to get M365 Defender and Sentinel to share incidents and have queries that you could literally copy and paste and get the same results. And now we're doing the same thing on the Defender for Cloud side. I think that makes a big difference in that ease of use as well as the outcomes that those security teams want to drive for.
And so giving the security team those strategic tools to actually detect when that's happening and actually be able to prevent the evasion becomes critical. And so this vision of pulling things together into a consistent way is a drumbeat that we keep driving.
Having run those defenders, greater efficiencies means faster time to respond, faster to mitigate, and greater visibility overall. So Bernard, you're a big proponent of visibility and data. How does it mesh together for you?
I absolutely love what you all have done here, right? That you are starting to provide that stitching that pulls together the different siloed areas that folks are going and spending money in to get best of breed technologies. Those that only have a SIEM are largely ignoring the specificity that exists on any endpoint system as well as the apps that are within it. Those who rely on the XDR alone are removing themselves from the ability to corroborate evidence across multiple different sources. But a SIEM is well built to kind of demonstrate what the efficacy of a detection is, what my prevention may look like, what types of measurements I want to get out of my controls. So there's definitely a space for both. And like I said, as it comes to coverage and completeness, it's a requirement.
Well, we've definitely made a lot of progress. I mean, just on the Sentinel side, we got more than 14,000 customers, which is double what we had a year ago. Data is up 2.5 times, so we're seeing customers deepen their usage, extend what kind of data they're bringing into the SIEM. You've seen us make progress on things like IoT. This is a topic near and dear to my heart. I think the stuff that's happening with Corelight and other providers like yours and the IoT work that we do to really bring together the best visibility end-to-end across your network, your devices, and now the work that's happening with enterprise IoT. So not just the factory and the warehouse, near and dear as those are to my heart, but also the smart elevator, the printer, all the things that are in every office building around the world. And it's great to protect the endpoint, but if you're not protecting the printer that's right next to it, what's the point? And so kind of pulling that together end-to-end, including the network signal, bringing that all together for customers so they can protect themselves, super important.
Absolutely. It's often forgotten that the thing that you can't deploy an agent to is the thing that's just going to bite you in the backside as you look at your overall security posture. And so great to see you making strides in providing enterprise customers with some level of protection in that vein.
One of the things that's really exciting, the acquisition of RiskIQ is a leader in threat intelligence. And if you think about it, RiskIQ really has spent over a decade learning how to look at the internet and understand what the attackers are doing and how the attackers see the world. And this is really a complement to what Microsoft has been doing over that same decade, where really You can think about us helping customers look from the inside out at their infrastructure and their endpoints and their cloud and everything together. And so Risk IQ has this amazing outside-in view, looking like an attacker looks at your infrastructure. Microsoft brings the inside out. You put it together, it's kind of like peanut butter and jelly.
You've mentioned three things that I am very happy to hear: intelligence, connections, and knowledge. Right? That the combination of these three things in cyber operations is what really moves the needle to impactful change. That piece where we need to be aware of how attackers view us and thereby be able to adapt to our specific exposure given some attack type that is relevant versus, this rote, let's take whatever signatures are out there, we'll apply them. We deal with a high number of false positives. We spend our time churning and responding to things that don't make any difference. That threat intelligence piece plus the operational piece lends itself to an organization building that muscle and what's needed to drive impactful change that allows them to make decisions that put them in a better position to defend against these advanced and novel attacks that we're seeing today.
That really resonated for me. And as I think about kind of the human element, which we've touched on a little bit today, and kind of thinking about all the numbers, all the analyst reviews, at the end of the day, what matters is, are we creating the outcome for the organization that they want in their journey? Are we making the job of the security team a little easier? Are they a little more able to find the bad guy or prevent the bad guy even better? And that's what it all comes down to, is helping those people succeed in their business. So how are we making stuff better for the humans? Like, what are we actually doing to make their jobs easier and them more successful, getting those bad actors to have a really bad day?
Let's talk about the actual changes, tech that we can build to help people with this. First, big ideas. As we've built Microsoft 365 Defender as a unified XDR, we've built an incident queue that isn't just about spewing alerts, but actually correlating those into stories. And those are across a whole attack timeline and across all of the domains that the XDR covers. And by doing that, we've been able to just reduce the number of items that the security team has to deal with by 80% because they're packaged into these storylines and these timelines that tell the team what happened. And then actually 75% of those we can actually handle automatically. And so this is back to your point on how do we make sure that the humans can get back to the higher level tasks and stop with the drudgery. We'll take care of that for you. And so in Defender for Cloud Apps, we've reduced the time to remediate by 80%. We've taken less time to set up policies, to implement policy settings, now 75% reduced. This leads to lower overall likelihood of a breach, reduced by 40%, and then we run studies on this, and it turns out that that's 151% payback in 3 months on top of your ROI, that's the kind of polish that I think security teams need in order to actually get it done and to have that relief from the endless onslaught.
Actually, I think that this is wonderful. If we can make huge advances in terms of AI, machine learning, becoming much more efficient, it will definitely help the defenders, right? So investigators like the incident response team, like DART, and the compromise recovery team, they rely heavily on more automation, right? Because the more data comes in, the more difficult it is to parse through all the data. The more we have that shoots out, this is definitely a bad thing, gets rid of the false positives. These are things that you must definitely attend to and even help prioritize that. Helps everyone who is responding to a cybersecurity attack. Because there is, of course, the ongoing labor shortage in terms of experienced people who have deep knowledge of, responding to cybersecurity attacks in an efficient, right, and effective manner. And so the more we can enable as many people as possible who have an interest in being responders and have an interest in defending, the better the whole world will be.
Sentinel is really focused on this, along with our whole suite of protections, reducing false positives. I don't want my good humans spending time dealing with false positives. And we have recent evidence that we can reduce that as much as 79% in some cases, which is awesome. One of the beautiful things about being born in the cloud is the notion that you're elastic out of the gate. So if you just want to get started, you can get started with a small amount of data and a small amount of money. And then as you get used to it and show the ROI, you can keep going. It also helps you when you have a bad day and you need to scale up and do more analysis, more compute, more investigation. You can do that again without provisioning, without that kind of stuff. It's all very easy. One of the things we're announcing at Ignite is that we're extending the trial for Sentinel. So it's 30 days completely free. You can actually just use it, check it out, make sure it works for your environment. And the other thing I just note while we're on the topic of Sentinel, we talk about it as being enterprise grade and something that is focused on the biggest enterprises in the world. I mean, Microsoft uses Sentinel to protect ourselves. But it's also something that scales with you, not just in data and cost, but also with size of company. It turns out there's over 8,000 SMBs who are using Sentinel today to protect themselves.
I am so glad that you brought up small businesses. We're very pleased to announce at Ignite this year, Microsoft Defender for Business, which is actually taking our enterprise-grade protection technology and making it available for small businesses, and then including that in M365 Business Premium. And it does exactly what you're describing around, well, let's not give the poor Defender team a process hierarchy and a suggested remediation steps. Maybe they just need to know, is it okay and what should I do next? And help them at that level.
That's an amazing, actually, advancement, because having led the response team, it was always the smaller customers, the one who had the least budget, who were going to be the first attacked, right? Testing defenses, and for them, any kind of a breach, right? Any kind of a cybersecurity incident was always very expensive. It's time intensive. They probably do not have the right talent, and so they'll benefit from the most. And the more customers, more entities that we can defend, I think the better off we will be globally.
So it's been a great conversation today, talking about a range of topics. But kind of as we walk away from this, what is there something that we'd want people in the audience to take away? What's the thing that they should noodle on or think about? Love to hear kind of everyone's perspective on that.
I'd say Microsoft is legit in the security space. I came up in a world where if you wanted to do anything with respect to security, it was on a Linux operating system, or you went to some third-party vendor. The thought was never, what is the type of security solution I'm going to go get from Microsoft? And just the breadth of coverage that you all are bringing to bear, and then the types of systems that you are integrating with, and the multi-cloud capabilities, I'm impressed.
Thank you for that. That's awesome.
Security is a team sport, right? Because what we're trying to do here at Microsoft, which I think this discussion has really highlighted, is that we're bringing together, right, different technologies, and those technologies will bring people together to work more efficiently. Right? It can feel very lonely under a cyber attack, or even when you're just the admin, right? The lone security admin. But know that there's many other resources and many other people who are in the community helping to collaborate, hopefully make your job easier, who you can probably reach out to and talk to.
And the thing that I think about, and I'm reminded of it when I talk with partners in industry, when I talk to customers, is we're not really alone. And we really have one shared enemy. And the more we work together, the more partners reach across the aisle and work together, the more customers entrust us and partner with us to help protect their estates. That gives us the asymmetric advantage against the bad actors. And so I kind of come away from these conversations feeling optimistic about the possibilities as the security community gets tighter together and we defend together against our shared enemy. So I wanted to thank everyone for the conversation today. Ping, it's always great to see you. Bernard, it was awesome to meet you today.
And thank you so much for your time and attention today. We hope you've learned a lot from this conversation. We're producing a wealth of content around Microsoft security at Ignite. And as always, if there's anything that we can do to connect and help protect you and your employees, to partner with you, please let us know.
We've experienced some major changes in the last year, especially in the workforce. We moved to hybrid environments. We've moved to remote environments. We've learned to enjoy content on a variety of different platforms, and that includes Microsoft Ignite.
Hi, I'm Jessica Feku, Security Product Marketing Manager here at Microsoft.
We just saw Microsoft Vice President of Cloud Security, Eric Dorr, and Microsoft's Corporate Vice President of M365 Security, Rob Lefferts, discuss lessons learned this past year and how they are contributing to keeping ahead of adversaries. Learn more about how you can accelerate your digital transformation. Join Microsoft's Vice President of Identity and Network Access, Joy Chick, in Breakout Session 242 as she shares the investments that we're making in Azure Active Directory to help you stay protected, productive, and resilient in an era of ever-escalating attacks. Join Compliance and Privacy General Manager Aleem Rayani for breakout session 241 as he discusses the security solutions that we're building to help you manage and reduce risk across your entire digital estate. Hear from Partner Director of Engineering Ramya Chitrakar and Microsoft's Vice President of Enterprise Management, Steve Dispenza, in breakout session 243 as they demonstrate how Microsoft Endpoint Manager can help you build business resiliency, strengthen your security posture, and adapt in a cloud-connected hybrid world of work. And stick around with General Manager Aleem Rayani in breakout session 251 as he helps you understand how to maintain and manage your compliance posture by sharing his 5 steps for building a secure workplace. If you have any questions about the products, the news, or announcements that you've heard today, check out the Connection Zone, where you can connect with any of our subject matter experts in an Ask the Expert session. If you missed any of today's sessions, they're available on demand. Check out aka.ms/msignite21_security/on-demand. We want to hear from you. Share your feedback with us by participating in a product roundtable. Be sure to stay up to date with all of the latest news and announcements surrounding Microsoft security by visiting www.microsoft.com/security. Or follow us on social at MSFT Security on Twitter or Microsoft Security on LinkedIn. If you've enjoyed these sessions, be sure to join us tomorrow for an action-packed agenda on day 2 of Microsoft Ignite. We kick off the morning with the industry's leading cybersecurity experts in Into Focus Security, and then we take a deeper dive into the future of security with thought leadership breakout sessions. You won't want to miss this. Stay tuned for what's ahead and enjoy the rest of Microsoft Ignite.